For more now, I'm joined by the Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace. Andrew, great to see you today. I'm not sure if you saw it, but last hour I spoke to Labor Cabinet Minister Tim Ayres. He's now arguing that the Royal Commission isn't necessary to determine what actions are actually needed to combat hatred. Do you buy that latest argument?
Not at all. The Labor Party is living in absolute denial, as is the Prime Minister. Look, only a Royal Commission can get to the bottom of what happened on the December the 14th that led to Australia's worst terrorist attack in history. We need to get to the bottom of it. It's not just us saying this, it's not just the Coalition. It seems to be that it is almost every corner of Australian society. We've now got business leaders, we've got the former Chief Justice of the High Court, former Governor-General, our sporting stars. Everybody is saying it, but the Labor Party, the unions and the Greens. Well, what does that tell you about that triumphant trio? I don't know. But look, we have to get to the bottom of what went on. We have to get to the bottom of the interactions and communications between our intelligence agencies and our police forces. But importantly, we need to get to the bottom of what caused all of that, and that is the rise of anti-Semitism since the 7th of October.
I wanted to run through some of the arguments that are being mounted by the opponents of the Royal Commission. The Prime Minister has said at times that it would just take too long for this sort of Royal Commission. Do you think it would be possible to have the inquiry needed that could be done in, say, 12 months?
Well, I think what's important to recognise is that this will be a complex issue. This will be, and I was involved in the drafting of the terms of reference for the Coalition, terms of reference which are very, very detailed, because we don't want a half-baked job here. We need to get to the bottom of all of the interactions, all of the problems, all of the misgivings and shortcomings. And we're starting to see them leak out. For example, the disbanding of a counter-terrorism unit within the AFP because of budget cuts that have just dropped overnight. But we need to get to the bottom of this. Only a Royal Commission, our preeminent form of inquiry in this country, has the ability to be able to subpoena documents, to be able to compel people to come before it and give evidence. The Prime Minister can't make up his mind as to why he objects to a Royal Commission. At first he said it'll take too long. Then he said the Coalition's terms of reference were too detailed. Nothing seems to last more than 24 hours for the Prime Minister. He's jumping from excuse to excuse, and the reality is everyday Australians, but in particular the Jewish community, are screaming out for this. They want answers from this Prime Minister, and he is just being absolutely, totally belligerent. And those Labor Party members who are supporting the Prime Minister, and they're not all of them because his backbench is starting to revolt, those Labor Party members are complicit in his belligerence.
I wanted to put to you another argument that's being mounted by opponents for this, particularly within the legal fraternity. They argue that a Royal Commission would, in some ways, prejudice the criminal trial that would potentially be running simultaneously for the alleged terrorist that's now behind bars at Goulburn Supermax. Do you think it's possible to have a Royal Commission at the same time as there's a criminal prosecution underway?
Well, absolutely there is, and that's why more than 170 senior barristers and former judges of this country, preeminent jurists, our most senior lawyers in this country, are calling for a Royal Commission, a federal Royal Commission, to be announced by this Prime Minister. This is not something I have never seen the Australian community on such a unity ticket, from our lawyers to our politicians, apart from Labor and the Greens, and to civil society. Everybody wants to get to the bottom of this. What the Labor Party are running scared of, and why the Prime Minister doesn't want to call a Royal Commission, because I think he is scared about what it will reveal. It will reveal the depth and level of anti-Semitism that runs so deep through the Australian Labor Party, and it runs all the way back to the Prime Minister.
Well, let's get to what you could potentially do about this. If Labor is not going to instigate a federal Royal Commission, is there a parliamentary pathway? Will the Coalition put forward legislation to force a vote on a Royal Commission? You don't have the numbers in the House, but could you force a vote?
Well, of course, we can move motions, and we will move motions when we eventually come back to Parliament. But I can tell you now, Trudy, I'm not going to let up on this, because there's a reason why we're calling for a Royal Commission. A parliamentary inquiry is, in my view, substandard. A parliamentary inquiry does not have the powers of compulsion that a Royal Commission does. And effectively it would be hamstrung by politics. No one believes that a parliamentary inquiry is going to get to the root cause of anti-Semitism and the problems that we experienced in the lead up to the 14th of December at Bondi. Look, you know, we'll take some advice on whether we do or whether we don't call for a parliamentary inquiry, but I can guarantee you one thing, Trudy, and that is that the Coalition will not give up. We will be talking about this every single day that the Prime Minister refuses belligerently to call a Royal Commission, and I'm really pleased that Sky has taken this fight up as well. I was absolutely, just dumbfounded to see that the ABC, our national broadcaster, you can hardly see anything on ABC Online on the issue of a Royal Commission. Look, we need to ensure between politicians and the media that we keep the pressure up on this Prime Minister. I'm not going anywhere, nor is Susan Lee, nor is the Coalition, and we'll maintain the rage, and we ask Australians to keep doing the same.
And Andrew, just a final one. You mentioned it off the top there, the nightly reporting that an AFP national surveillance team was disbanded because of funding in the weeks before the attack. Government sources telling Sky News today that even if it hadn't been, it wouldn't have prevented the attack from taking place. What's your reaction to that?
Well, how do they know that? Seriously. I've served on the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security for the last 3.5 years as the Deputy Chair, prior to me becoming the Shadow Attorney-General. And I can tell you now, Trudy, this government does not understand national security. It is hopeless on national security. The Prime Minister has never held a national security portfolio in his 30-odd years in Parliament. Unless and until this government wakes up to itself and realises that we have a huge problem with Islamic fundamentalist extremism, then we are destined to repeat the ills and dangers and risks and horrors that we saw on December 14. This government is always slow to the party on items of national security and defence. It's had to be dragged kicking and screaming on every element, on just about every piece of legislation. It's been late, or it has been unwilling to pass it until death's dark door. So this government needs to get fair income. I really doubt whether Tony Burke is the right person as the Home Affairs Minister. He's hopelessly conflicted between his commitment to national security and his commitment to his own seat. I think it's time the Prime Minister looked at moving him on.
Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace, appreciate your time today as always. Thank you.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.